All right, so in this video, or like in this part of the class, we're gonna explore a couple of relationships between angles and lines, more specifically parallel lines. So the first relationship that we're gonna explore is the same side interior angles. All right, so the definition says, a pair of angles that are on the same side of the transversal and between the two lines. So that's my definition. A pair of angles that are on the same side of the transversal and between the two lines. And we're going to break apart that definition. So if it seems like just a lot, we're going to break it apart. But that's the definition. Now, there's an additional note about that. If, so keyword, if the two lines are parallel, then the same side interior angles are supplementary. Okay, so that's an if. Now, let's go back to the definition. It says a pair of angles, so that means we're going to have two angles that are on the same side of the transversal and between the two lines. So to discuss this, we're going to use this example down here. We seem to have two lines and a transversal, and the two lines happen to be parallel because that's what this symbol means. And let me just number the angles here so that it's easier to discuss. I'm just going to say this is angle 1, this is angle 2, this is angle 3, this is angle 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we have these 8 angles. First, let's talk about the idea of interior. Interior means in between the two lines. So the angles that are in between these two red lines. So that means that this angle 1, this angle 2, this angle 7, and this angle 8, they wouldn't be considered same side interior angles because they're not interior. They're not in between the two lines. So now we narrow down to identify which are my same side interior angles. It has to be these, right? All right, now let's talk about the same side portion of it. The same side portion of it has to do with, let's use this color, on the same side of the transversal. So for example, let's use this one. This angle 3 and this angle 5, they're on the same side of the transversal, right? They're on the same side of this blue line. That means that those two are same side interior angles. That's my pair of same side interior angles. But the transversal has another side, right? So angle 4 and angle 6 are also on the same side of the transversal. And they're also interior. So that means that these are also same side interior angles. So this is one pair, this orange pair, and this is another pair, this green pair. Now, since these two red lines are parallel, we can say that angle 5, that's ugly. So angle 5 plus angle 3 are gonna equal 180. These are supplementary. Since the two lines are parallel, we have same side interior angles are supplementary. Now, if we didn't have this, and if the problem didn't say these two lines are parallel, we would not be able to say this. These would still be same side interior angles, but we would not be able to say that these are supplementary or that these are supplementary. But since it does say it, we can say that. So we can say that on this side as well. Angle 4 plus angle 6 equals 180. So whatever these two measure degrees, they got to add up to 180. And whatever these two measure in degrees, they got to add up to 180. So at this time, you can pause the video, take some notes down, and then I'm going to go over to some examples. All right, so example number 1. I switched it around a little bit because one of the examples in your practice looks like this. So in this case, the two parallel lines are in vertical, right? They're going up and down, this two. But that doesn't mean they're not parallel. We know that they're parallel because of this symbol right here. They both have one tick mark. Okay. If they both had two, that will also mean that they're parallel, as long as I have the same number of tick marks. All right, and we have a transversal that cuts right through them, right? Okay, so let's say that I want to figure out how much, let's use pink, how much this angle measures. Well, they are interior, so let me do like a little check mark, checklist. Are they interior? Meaning, are they between the two parallel lines? And are they on the same side of the transversal? All right, so these two, they are interior, right? Because they're in between the two parallel lines. And they're on the same side of the transversal, right? They're both on this top side of the transversal. So that means, since these two lines are parallel, that means that 30 plus x gotta equal 180. They have to be supplementary. They have to be. And now I can just solve for my x, right? I can say minus 30, x equals to 150. Right? Okay. Pause this. Take some notes down. Maybe take notes of the checklist. Now let me go to the next example. So example number 2. Again, we have, so in the previous video, again, we have two parallel lines. So I know they're parallel because of this. And we have a transversal. And we're dealing with these two angles, right? So we have this angle over here and this angle over here. So let's take a look. Are they interior? Are they in between? Yeah. Are they in between the two parallel lines? Yes. They're interior. Are they on the same side of the transversal? Yeah, they're both on this left side, right? So that means, and since we have parallel lines, we do, that means that these two are supplementary. Now here's where it's a little bit different. Angle 1 measures 4x plus 8. Angle 2 measures 10x plus 2. But that's okay. We can set it up. We can say angle 1, which measures, so angle 1, let's do it up here. We can say angle 1 plus angle 2 equal 180, right? Okay. Now we have the measurement of angle 1 and angle 2. We just have it using variables, but that's okay. We can do it. So angle 1 measures 4x plus 8. So I'm going to say here 4x plus 8 plus angle 2 which measures 10x plus 2. And all of that equals 180. Let me just stop and give you some time to reflect. You can pause this if you want to. And I'm going to just go over what I just did one more time. These two, we agreed, are on the same side of the transversal and they're interior. So that means they're same side interior angles. So that means that we know that they add up to 180 because the lines are parallel. So if we take the measurement of 1, which is 4x plus 8, and we take the measurement of 2, which is 10x plus 2, and we add it together, gotta equal 180. That's how I came up with this equation here. Now let's combine some like terms, because this is a really long equation. So let's combine some like terms. We can combine this 4x and this positive 10x, right? And we're gonna get 14. That's a horrible color because you guys might not see it. All right, let's do this one. 4x and positive 10x, and we get 14x. And now let's combine this positive 8 and this positive 2. We get positive 10, right? And now that equals 180. We just brought down this 180 on this right side of the equation. All right, so now what we're gonna do is solve for x. So we wanna get this x all by itself. So I'm gonna start by subtracting. So I'm gonna use inverse operation. So I'm gonna say minus 10 minus 10. That would cancel out. And now let me bring down this 14x. And now 180 minus 10, we get 170. So this part is algebra. Now, let's say we want to get the x by itself. Keep in mind that whenever we have a number and a variable together like this, they're being multiplied. So to do the opposite, we got to divide. So now I am going to divide here by 14. Here by 14, that will cancel out. And when we do 170 divided by 14, we don't get a nice number. But we're just gonna round for this one. But I promise in the ones in your example, they'll be nice numbers. Let me make sure I double check my work. I did everything right. 4x, 10x, that's 14x. I did that right. Did that right? Yeah, it looks like it just gave me an ugly number. That's fine. In your examples for your practice, I promise they're nice numbers. So now we have x is equal to, and this we're just gonna round it to a 0.14. Okay, so that part is just the algebra part. So that's it. That's how you find it. So at this point, you can pause the video, take some notes down. Let me see if I got no. So pause the video, take some notes down. The most important part here is to identify that these are supplementary angles. They add up to 180 because they're on the same side of the transversal and they're in between the two parallel lines. All right? So you can pause the video, take some